Welcome back to the Integrateness podcast. We're rolling into December, the silly season, the quote unquote most wonderful time of the year. What does that mean for you? We're going to kind of explore the holidays over the next few weeks as we head towards Christmas and New Year's, saying goodbye to it is 2022. Yeah. Goodbye to 2022 and into 2023. Jolene, top of the morning to you.
Hi, it's the afternoon. Oh wait, people might be listening in the morning.
Yeah.
we
Well, it releases in the morning. So I just assume that they're morning listeners.
yeah, we're time travelers. That's what we are.
We do back and forth in time, not just like time, but like, this is actually November. We're not even close to December yet when we're recording these episodes. So we're trying to project our mentality about a month down the road, which isn't easy because we're both very busy people and a lot of new information pushes the old information out. So yeah, you get what you get.
Exactly. My energy is pushing through to December 6th right now.
Exactly, which is when this episode is coming out. And we are talking, this is something I know Bo Diddley about, but that's love languages, because apparently there's 5 love languages. And we're going to talk about these. Jolene will do most of the talk in this regard, and then try to figure out how you can, with these languages, pair it to gifts that you're thinking of buying that special someone this holiday season.
We are going to get you guys lucky this Christmas season.
We make no guarantee that you'll get lucky, though, because we don't want a bunch of hate mail out of this.
It's you know what? I'm willing to put my money on it here, guys, because we are like equipping you with so many tools to add like richness to your life, to your relationships, to your friendships, to your Christmas staff parties, whatever it is, whoever you're buying for, right? Essentially, this one is going to piggyback. If you guys remember the intimacy episode, when we talked about like emotional intimacy and really truly being seen and seeing others for who they are, when we understand what our love language is and we can show others how we like to be loved, and vice versa, when we understand how others like to be loved, we can give them exactly what they're needing, right? Like if you have, God, I have 3 kids and they all like different things. I'm like, which one of you likes apple juice and which one likes orange juice? And then when I mess that up, they feel really unseen, right? So you're intentionally trying to let somebody know that you are learning about them, understanding about them, and you want to get it right. And most of us do want to get it right, right? Like think about shitty gifts that you've given that you were like, oh, they did not like that. That did not go well. We don't feel as good. We feel good when people are getting what they think is useful or what they desire, any of those things. So we're equipping you with some self-awareness of your own love language so you can get the love that you are wanting and just essentially being seen in your relationships the way you need to be. We're going to help partners and bosses and colleagues and friendships and all of that through this. And then we're going to totally help you out for any kind of Christmas stuff because we don't need more stuff. So when we can look at ways to give gifts without it being things, that's kind of dreamy nowadays, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because we've all accumulated shit, especially after being locked inside for 2 years and having access to Amazon accounts. Like we don't need more stuff. So it'd be nice to have more meaningful stuff that actually resonates as a gift instead of just another sweater.
Yeah. So there, if people want to check it out, like there is a website, there's probably lots you could go to. The basic one is 5lovelanguages.com. And essentially what you do is you just answer a bunch of multiple choice questions and it's about your preferences around things, right? Do you like this or this? Do you like this one more or this one more? You know, do you like somebody giving you a hug or do you like somebody saying that they're really proud of you, right? So there's 5 different love languages. One of them is acts of service. So this is when you're doing things for people. For me, I always use the description of like, God, if you put washer fluid in my vehicle, or like today managed to get in for winter tires, which I wasn't supposed to get for another month. And that was like, hallelujah, right? When people do things for you, when they help you with projects that you need help with, when they, assist you by just doing the dishes at the end of a night, anything like that, acts of service. Okay. Receiving gifts, that's an obvious one, right? For me, my mom was a big gift giver. Like she was the one that put special things in our lunches or is always thoughtful about things, even around like deathversaries and things like that. She'll gift me and my sister with some of my dad's favorite things. So Christmas time, it's always cherry chocolates. We always know there's a box of cherry chocolates coming. As we became adults, there was always some dollar bills in those cherry chocolates.
Even
so
better.
Those are like the receiving gifts. Yeah. So for me, sometimes my love languages were equivalent to like maybe what my mom had or what we were offered as a kid. So sometimes your love languages can be what you were offered as a kid, and sometimes they're not. I have also found that they are that they can also kind of ebb and flow. Okay. So you may change as maybe your life circumstances change, right? So quality time is another one, words of affirmation, and physical touch. So acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, words of affirmation, and physical touch. Okay. Jason, is my internet okay?
It seems to be fluctuating, but everything's coming through fine.
Okay, good. Everyone can hear me okay?
Everyone can hear you okay.
um, so with that, so I remember, back in the day, earlier in my like relational kind of experiences, I think probably gift giving might have been a big one, and physical touch. And then as time evolved, as I became, especially like a single parent with busy kids, busy work and stuff, acts of service is like right up there for me. I'm not sure I would have appreciated acts of service back then the way I do now. So now acts of service are a big one, and words of affirmation. And those are things that I was starved of for the last like 15 years. So I can see why when I retook the test recently, those ones are ones that I desire more. I also did not desire a lot of the physical touch piece because, again, it wasn't a state that I was safe and comfortable in anymore, right? So that's where things can kind of ebb and flow depending on what your life situation is, where you're shorted in life as well, right? So I want people to think about maybe for themselves where they think they might locate. Definitely go do the test so that you can see. You might surprise yourself there. But definitely look at that and be like, oh, this might be because this is familiar to me, or this is what my partner gives me and I am quite satisfied, or this is, where my boss says these things and I feel like a happier employee because of that, right? It's not always partner related, but it's just essentially how we like to be seen and appreciated by others, right? So Jason, when I give you that list, which ones stand out for you as what maybe some of your love languages might be?
Okay, I think the words of affirmation are always nice. There's words of affirmation, gift giving,
quality time,
quality time.
acts of service, and physical touch.
I would say, yeah, quality time is one, although I don't need a ton of quality time. You know what I mean? And then definitely like words of affirmation. I think those are kind of the two biggest ones. Not really big on gifts, don't really care. Yeah, those two I think are the ones that sort of really stand out. I think so. Where would this fit in? Like just being understood and accepted. Do you know what I mean? That's almost more important for me than anything else. I've come to realize.
And I think maybe that is like a combination of your partner knowing what your love language is and then giving that to you. Here's the thing. If you're saying words of affirmation, quality time are your love languages, but your partner gives you things all the time and then wants to touch and be physically affectionate, you're like, those aren't the things I need.
No, right? I don't like, I'm one of those, some people like they talk about when they fall asleep, they need to cuddle up and everything. It's like, no, here's my line in the sand and stay on your side of the bed. Cause I'm trying to chill here and go to bed. Right. I don't need that.
But what I wonder, right? Like what Jess's like love languages are, because if hers are opposite of yours, then she might be seeking them out. So this is how that happens in partnerships, is like understanding what your partners are. So you can offer them theirs and they can offer you yours. And you can kind of always do this juggle back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, I always think when it comes to like gift giving and things like that, I laugh because there was this one year that my dad bought my mom a winter coat and he like nailed it. My dad was not a good gift giver. My poor mom had an empty stocking every year. Like, I wish I would have known things back then that I know now, and I'm just like, Dad. But he nailed it with this winter jacket. But the problem was for like the next 5 years, he'd buy her a new winter jacket.
Well, he had success, right? You repeat what works. That's guys think that way. Well, she liked this, so I'll just kind of get the same idea, maybe different colors from year to year, and everything will be fine.
Yeah. So I think she felt kind of seen for the first year, but then it was like, I don't need more of that. And again, women being practical and not thinking that they deserve extra things, right? Yeah. It was kind of like, wait a sec. So it's funny. So when we're looking at some of these things, like I said, we can kind of flow between them, right? And again, like, what is it about physical touch, right? So we talked about emotional intimacy in that intimacy episode, and physical touch might not be an option if we don't like not necessarily not an option, but it might not be desired, or it might be avoided because there's not a ton of emotional intimacy there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys feel like that's something lacking in your partnerships, or something that you're not super comfortable with, or maybe like you want it but your partner doesn't, like your partner's shut down but it's your love language and you don't really get that need met, then go back and inventory, where maybe does my partner not have emotional safety or intimacy? Because typically that's what will like physically block somebody from, I mean, unless there's a bunch of traumas and other things, but often there's some of those things missing for someone's body to necessarily feel safe and desirable around you, right? So those might be some things there. So if we're looking at like creative gifts and ways that we can offer our partners more appropriate validating gifts for Christmas, ask them to do the love languages quiz. Say, hey, I don't want a Christmas list, I want to know what your love language is so that I can get you the most appropriate gift possible. I want you to love this. Okay, that's what you say, quote unquote. Write that script down
with that exact same tone.
That tone, that's
the exact same tone.
Yeah, I'm setting you guys up for a lucky Christmas here. So acts of service. Okay, so Jason and I, we're going to brainstorm here. So
okay.
Acts of service. What could be some really great acts of service? So I will come from the female perspective. You come from the male perspective. What's kind of coming to mind for you?
Well, acts of service, and this is actually something that I do with my wife all the time. Like she, for in the morning for coffee, she uses one of those Keurigs, and she always forgets to fill it with water. So at night, I fill it with water so that when she goes in the morning, she can turn it on. I don't think she notices this, but this is what I do. So if you're listening, hon, yeah. When I shower, because I often shower before she does, I make sure that the top towel is always the dry towel. Right? So she doesn't have to have the wet towel. Again, I don't know if she notices this, but these are the kind of things I do on a day-to-day basis that just sort of that show that I care, because nothing's worse than coming out of a shower wet and cold and grabbing the wet towel, and that's what you're stuck dealing with, right?
Jason, you should tell her this. If she's not listening to this, you should tell her, because I think she would be like, if she doesn't know this, she can appreciate you. Okay, everybody listening here, if you do these things and your partner is unaware of it, please let them know. Like my jaw was dropped while he was talking. I didn't see me. I was like, this is amazing. Like when we intentionally think of other people and that's not seen, it actually hurts the giver. Okay. So we go unseen for so long. Sometimes that can build into resentment because we may be accused of like falling short in one area, but you're like, but these are all the other areas I do show up every day that you don't notice, right? I'm not saying you get resentful, but I definitely see it play out in relationships and work and whatever things, right? So if you are doing these things, definitely pump your own tires for the sake of letting your partner have an opportunity to appreciate you, because we grow so much in relationships when we feel appreciated and we actually want to do more. So tell her you do those things. I think that's so amazing.
Well, I always look at it, the little things add up more than some big gift, because she's kind of the same way. She's like, Valentine's Day doesn't mean squat, which we can talk about this on Valentine's Day, because the love should matter every day, not just like show it once a year with some big gift or a trip somewhere. Like, who gives a fuck? Like every day-to-day stuff matters a lot more. It adds up quicker in life.
Totally. Yeah. My birthday and Valentine's fall in the same week, and it's always been a shit show. Like it's yucky. It always feels weird and yucky. Okay. So acts of service, those are really great ones. So what could be some acts of service that you could offer for like a Christmas present, if those are things that you're normally doing? So some people, it's like, maybe I will, give you a massage. Maybe it is, I will offer like to watch the kids one night so you can go out with your girlfriends or do this or that. And I know that these shouldn't be gifts, but sometimes we won't take them unless they're actually offered as a gift. We won't take the opportunity because sometimes we don't think we're worthy of it, deserving of it. We can justify it, all those things, right? Some other acts of service might be, oh my gosh, my wife has been bitching about the color of this bathroom or this or that. And like, maybe you decide to do a renovation, or maybe you decide to assist with some things that like they're needing help on, or they wanted to create this really amazing thing outside in like a patio area. And maybe you do that, right? Like if you have a special skill set, right? Maybe it's around, like any of your media things, or I love, oh my gosh, there's like, you can get like custom made songs made now. Like I see these on like my scroll on my feed. You can get custom made songs or just different things like that, like whatever, different things, right?
I like those. I even think like like the big thing, like the days off, quote unquote, are always good. Like we used to do that when our boy was quite young. Like that'd be a great sort of, Valentine's gift or even Christmas or birthday. Like just do what you want to do today and
Totally.
I'll take care of the rest. Right. And I find that kind of goes a long way. So why not at Christmas? Just because it's Christmas,
Yeah.
imagine, because, in a lot of cases, the wife is the one that makes Christmas dinner. I'm
Yeah.
fully capable of cooking. So like I cook Christmas dinner so she doesn't have to cook Christmas dinner. Like that kind of
Or
thing, I think is a lot better.
yeah, I will
That's a good
help you
idea.
with Christmas dinner. Like I'll help you do it, right? Like, oh my God, that's a dream to have somebody like cooking dinner with you and making it an experience. Look at me. Hey, you guys get an idea of what kind of things I can do better? Again, speaking of starving. So so that, I was just gonna, that was the other thing is like the days off. So do you guys know how many like gift cards I have for places, like gift certificates for places? I have 2 for Kamloops Float. I have a couple for like a spa. And some of these are from 2 years ago on my birthday, because there's not a lot of time that I was either not working or with my kids to actually go to these appointments, right? Like, remember, if you're giving people gift cards, you also need to give them time to
Exactly. Enjoy a
yeah.
night at the movies, but I can't give you the time to do it. Like
No,
pointless.
for real, right? So that
Yeah.
becomes a really practical piece too. Think of that when you're gifting people, because honestly, these gift cards sit there and sometimes like I can picture mine are like in a drawer and they have not been used, which sucks, but Um, okay, receiving gifts. Okay, so again, this is gift giving. Let's leave that one till the end. Let's leave that
Okay.
one till the end. Quality time. Okay, quality time. What would be some really great creative options for quality time together?
Well, people always seem to think you got to go to like, sparkling hills,
Such a
whatever.
in some aspects,
In some aspects, yeah. But I mean, I think even something simple, like when's, let's say, the last time you and your partner just sat down and watched like a movie together,
Yeah.
right? Or just went for a walk in the woods, or if you're into that kind of stuff, or canoeing, right? Like it's just little thing. I'm always big on the little things because they're
Mm.
easier to do. They don't tend to cost a lot, especially as things get more expensive, and they add up. Like we do like a walk, or sometimes even a family walk, a couple nights a
Totally.
week before it hit -18 out. But that 15 to 20 minute walk or half-hour walk added up a lot more in terms of just feeling better as a family unit. So I think small things like that can work a lot better.
Yeah, when we're talking about like the day to day, not for
Yeah,
Christmas, I'm going to encourage you to do something way better than that for Christmas, Jason.
way better than that for Christmas.
But for day to day quality time, like when you can chisel out 20 minutes at the end of a night to do a check in with your partner, that is like some of the best success in relationships. There's a lot of people that do not prioritize that time for each other, and they're running the grind and they're playing the roles, but they don't do a little check-in where they eye to eye look at each other and hear how each other's day was and truly just be in that moment and get an update. Their friends might have their current update and their employees and or colleagues and things, but very rarely do the partners actually get together and do that. And these are like huge relationship killers when you're not chiseling out quality time for that time where you put your phone down. How many times are people talking to their partner and they're sitting on their phone, or they leave the room halfway through the conversation, or they get distracted? We need undistracted time with our partners to rebuild, to re-solidify that connection, if we're going to have healthy relationships, right? There's always so many things that we're navigating when we've got like an iron in the fire, and each, like, people are running here and there and schedules are busy and stuff, right? You have to have that connection time for sure. So when we look at for like a Christmas gift kind of thing, if quality time is something that especially like you might be short on, you might want to pick activities that are doable. You might not be able to take a weekend away because no one can watch your kids, or you can't leave work for that long, or it just might not be financially feasible or whatever. So find 1 to 3 hour things that maybe you make a little coupon book out of, right? So we're going to go for a snowshoe up at, McConnell Lake. And then another one might be that we are going to go do like maybe one of those like exit room things, or one of those
Mm-hmm.
kind of fun things, right?
Ooh, I know a
um
good one locally for local people.
yeah.
Woodward's Christmas Tree Farm. You go out
Mm,
there, you get your tree, you sit around the fire having a hot chocolate afterwards and a hot dog. It's a whole nice way to spend some time
totally,
together.
right. Some other things that people might do is, yeah, like let's just go for a drive and have a fire. And here are some things that, yeah, let's go have like a date in the bush together. Or maybe you do actually want to actually try new things. I encourage people to like try new things together, because when we go into a new space, we're kind of like neutral with our partner, and we have to rely on them for some things of uncertainty. We build trust in them a little bit differently. When we go and do the same old things, we fall into like probably old patterns of maybe who controls this, who makes the plans for that. But when we go into a new space, a new activity, both people kind of neutralize a little bit, and you're required to like work as a team and build a new experience together. So those might be things that people want to think about as well, right? Especially if you're looking to strengthen that part of your connection. Words of affirmation. So what are things that you typically like to hear, Jason?
Ooh. That's a good question. Thank you is a big one, like for
See,
stuff, right?
that's why you got to tell her that you make sure the water's full and the dry towel is on the top for her. Like, yes, that's why you got to tell her that, so she can appreciate you.
Yeah, oh yeah, and which she does it in other things. I don't know if she's, like I said, I don't know if she's noticed that or not, but like I do the laundry, so she's like, thank you so much for taking care of the laundry today, that kind of thing. That's
Amazing.
actually one of the best. I think sometimes thank you and I'm sorry can be way more powerful than I love you, because people throw I love you around a lot without even thinking about it. It's almost like saying goodbye or hello. But if you can
Oh,
apologize genuinely for something that you're really sorry for, or say thank you for something that really meant something to you, I think that carries a lot of weight.
I'm a big thank youer, and I thank people for their time a lot. Thank you for making space for this conversation. Thanks for taking time out of your day to message me or phone me or whatever. Those are big ones, right? Yeah, so words of affirmation. I mean, sometimes people want to hear that just, you look so fucking hot right now, right? Like sometimes that's going to go a long way with somebody. Maybe another one is just like, I'm so proud of you, right? So many of us have these like inner child moments where we're waiting for someone just to say they're really proud of us, right? Any of these things are like, you're so talented, like you're so creative, I love the way you think. Like that's another thing. Like I really appreciate the way people's brains work sometime, and I'm just like, you are just like so innovative, or like let people know these things. Those are amazing words of affirmation, right? Like, you feel so good to be around. Things like that. We can think outside the box in terms of what words of affirmation might look like, and think about, what do I long to hear from people? What would I love to hear? And try that with your partner, right? Just see some gifts. Like one that's totally coming to mind for me right now are like any of those signs that you can get made, with like little sayings on them and stuff. I'm specifically thinking of Atticus, so the poet. There are some like amazing Atticus quotes that you can get on pictures, that you can put up on your wall, and they're magical. Often, like if they talk about like the meaning of that person in your life or things like that, those would be beautiful gifts that are words of affirmation, right? Or like maybe it's a shirt that's just I remember my mom bought my ex bought him this shirt that was like, I don't need Google, my wife knows everything.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. He wore it. He had a great sense of humor. He totally wore it, right? But yeah, so like who knows? Maybe there's funny things like that, or like, think outside the box with like words of affirmation kind of thing. Okay.
Absolutely. And even being aware of, say, shows or books or poets or quotes that your partner's into, and finding one of those quotes and getting it put on something.
Yeah, putting it on a coffee mug, right? Like, I love waking up to you. You look hot, babe. Like something crazy like that, they might love, right? And then physical touch is another one, right? So if physical touch being one of we'll talk about receiving gifts after, because it'll kind of encompass all these things, but physical touch, that might be like where you gift maybe a massage, or, maybe it's also not physical touch from you, but also maybe they need something. So we've talked about acupuncture on here. We've talked about massage therapy on here. You can do regular massage, right? There are like Reiki and healing sessions that you can do. There's lots of different ways. If that's your partner's love language, then maybe getting them something like that. It doesn't have to come from you. It doesn't have to be your physical touch, right? And you can also get things extra kinky, and maybe like encourage some extra physical touch and get some extra fun happening there. Again, we're working on getting you guys lucky this Christmas. So think about some of those things. So receiving gifts being the last one. Think about all these things we've talked about. Think about some of the other main love languages your partner might have. Think about things they really like, things that they can use too, right? Like, we like to be somewhat useful. Yes, we like things that we don't really need, but like think about things people can use. I love candles are always beautiful because we can always use them, right? Like there's a element of practicality with an element of like, you wouldn't normally buy this for yourself, right? Because that's often how some people are when it comes to gift giving, right?
That's a big one, at least when we were growing up. It was the thing that you wouldn't go get yourself because you thought, hey, it's too frivolous, or I really want it, but it's not practical, or we really can't afford it right now. And those became kind of the gifts. I remember, especially for my dad, who could MacGyver anything. But if there was like this table saw that he just like, well, I have an old one and it works fine, we'd get him the brand new one that you knew he wanted, but he wouldn't go out of his way to get it.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Right. So that sense of practicality in there as well. But like, think about experiences, right? So maybe it's trips. A lot of people will do that, or like an experience somewhere, gift cards to different amusement parks or different activities and things like that. Sometimes it is memberships, right? So things that keep on giving. So I used to give my niece and nephew like National Geographic kids magazines, and it would show up every month. So then they had like a whole month of the gift, right? So think about things like that. Does your partner, like I know my kids, their kindergarten teacher goes to Pilates. So I'm not getting her any mugs and shit like that. I'm going to get her a gift card for Pilates because I know she uses it, right? So things like that, like maybe it is like an annual BCAA membership because you want them to make it to work safe, or, like if that's your kid or whatever, right? Sometimes things like that are amazing extras for people that, maybe it's like a Spotify membership or gift cards for that kind of stuff. Any of those things. Think outside the box in terms of like what takes out of people's basic budget that they might need help with year round, right?
Yeah, I think those are great. My kid loves to play Roblox, so he wants, like, we're thinking Roblox cards. It's like currency in the game, but so he can do stuff with it, right, to increase his thing. Yeah,
exactly, right? Because you're like, he's going to be playing it anyways, and it's less stuff, but it's something. Exactly. So thinking about some of those types of things. So that is sort of our episode of understanding what you are, and think about that for your list, because people are going to want a list. Please give them a list. People want to make sure they give you the things that you're looking for. So if you have things, I already got my gift. I sent it to my mom and was like, hey, Canadian Tire has toolboxes on sale, and I just lost mine out of my garage, so you guys can get me this if you're interested. And it showed up in my garage 2 days later.
Sweet. So you're done.
Yeah, I bought myself a Dyson vacuum when they were on sale at Costco. So I've already bought my Christmas present. And then again, like my mom nailed hers already. And she was so grateful. She was like, thank you, because I was just going to ask you what you wanted. And I was like, this is amazing. Thank you. So sometimes that's all we want is like, I've bought my mom and her boyfriend Blazer tickets before, like seasons tickets, because they help out with my kids so much. Things like that, right? Like get people cool things that keep on giving, right?
You have a few weeks left to do that. And we have a few episodes coming up before Christmas. We're taking a break the week between Christmas and New Year's, just so you're aware, because you just go do something else, people. It's a holiday. But we're back.
Sorry, this is going long now. I know Jason's looking at the timer, guys. He keeps... This is what happens. He'll flash me some eyes here. We should just get drunk one of these days and do the in-between Christmas episode.
Oh, that would be fun, actually. And then air it in like April or something like that. Yeah.
We could air it. We'll get drunk in November here and then air it during that week and see what rolls out. That's funny.
I like that idea. Be day drinking though. Anyways, until next week, I'm Jason.
I'm Jolene.
Talk to you soon.